Alright. I know it's been a little bit, but my schedule is so crazy right now. And I'm back with a phone because I haven't had a chance to really write down too much. But I figured today I would maybe touch on more historical hauntings, especially those that are centered around famous queens. You know, a lot of them are based off of like old England queens from years ago. Can't really say America ever had a queen, so not much I could do there. But to start, we can start talking about Anne Boleyn, one of my favorite English queens that got wrongfully accused and beheaded simply just because he didn't want her around, from the research I was able to do. But after King Henry, I think it's the 5th, I don't really know how to read that, successfully divorced his first wife, he made Anne Boleyn his second. She became the Queen of England in 1533. Boleyn's reign was short after she failed to produce a male heir, which turned her once loving husband against her. She was beheaded at the Tower of London on May 19, 1536. People have since claimed to see her ghost not only at the location of her death, but also at Hever Castle, Blickling Hall, Sal Church, and Merwell Hall. The most chilling tale of her appearance tells of a guard at the Tower of London who was approached by a whitish female figure. Panicked, the man stabbed his bayonet at the spear before fainting from fear. That's interesting. She had it on the Snapchat. She's the new minister. Open your Snapchat. Here you go. Okay, so the second one would be Bloody Mary. Now, I did hear some about her, but I will say that I haven't exactly done a whole lot of research on her. But there's also those famous ghost legends that some say that the whole Bloody Mary in a mirror thing is supposed to be her, and some people have a speculation that it is also of a woman that was thought to be dead and then was buried and then later came to life, and that's where the whole bell on top of a grave with a string that goes into it comes from. Because I do know that for her, she was thought to be dead, and in fact she wasn't. I don't remember exactly what was wrong with her, but her mom had a dream that she was alive, and so the very next morning, her mom had her dug up, and it was in fact found that she was alive, but she had died from probably suffocation, honestly. But there was like nail scratches and blood all inside of it, and she was like in a state of panic or whatever. And so they people started putting like a whole little bell, and it has a string so that if somebody is buried alive, thought to be dead, they can ring the bell and be saved before they die from lack of oxygen. But then also some believe that it is this queen that they do nickname Bloody Mary, as well. And then in this part, it does sit there and say the folklore and is involving various ghost tales. Some believe she was a witch from the notorious Salem trials, which I can see that. Others claim she was the victim of a grisly murder by a stranger lover. I have heard that one, but it's not nearly as much as the other two. And others believe her to be Queen Mary I of England, damned for her persecution of the Protestants. I could honestly probably go into far more because I think she was nicknamed that also because something else that I can't remember off the top of my head, the whole story that I read on her. Because I do like to look into some of the queens. I like Anne Boleyn. Catherine's not so bad, but not one of my favorites. And then, Boleyn's daughter, I want to say her name was Elizabeth, or is it Mary? I can't remember. I think it's Mary. I think it's Princess Mary. No, that's Catherine's daughter. And then Boleyn was Elizabeth. Yeah. I like Catherine's daughter, Mary, too. But there is some debate on whether she's actually dangerous or not, or if she more like just appears. And behind me, like the other Daniel CD. I don't know how that one is considered a queen. That's not a queen. So yeah, I figured I would touch up on, some queenly visits, because they often sit there and say that Jane Seymour is also seen. I think they call her the Lady in Grey, because she is believed to be looking for the child. Gosh. But yeah, I think they call Jane Seymour the Lady in Grey, and she's speculated to be haunting one of his castles, because I'm pretty sure King Henry had like multiple, and they say that she's looking for her son, because she is one of the only queens he actually had that gave birth to a boy. I think everyone else either could not give birth at all, or they gave birth to only girls, which I want to believe that's kind of karma because of how long he did a lot of those women. You know what I mean? And Jane Seymour is also the one they say that King Henry truly stayed loving. But she succumbed to either sickness or childbirth. She could not make it through one of those. I think it's childbirth. But this one is Queen Catherine Howard, said to haunt Hampton Court Palace. I do remember hearing about that, but she bolted past the guards out of her apartments at Hampton Court Palace after being locked up for treason and adultery, which I do remember hearing something about that. Like when he found her, she claimed to be a virgin, and she wasn't actually a virgin. But I also believe that she was 17. And everyone knows how 17-year-olds can be. So she was pretty young. But to try and find Henry to plead her case, unfortunately the guards caught her and dragged her back. Her ghost apparently haunts the gallery at Hampton, where she made her escape attend. And her fellow Henrycian Queen Jane Seymour also might haunt the Hamptons. She died from childbirth complications there. So it was childbirth. I remember. Okay, I was wrong to write one. In this one, Anne Boleyn has also apparently been found guilty of witchcraft and incest, which I've never heard of, but I might actually go and read up on her, because that's honestly a different take of that. But yeah, she was imprisoned at the Tower of London and then executed, and given the privilege of seeing her brother and friends executed before her, which is cruel. A lot of the things he did was cruel back then. Her ghost frequents the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula, at the tower where her body and head were buried in a short chest under the altar. That's fucking disgusting. Oh, yes. And then, she's not English, but she is a queen. Queen Marie Antoinette, one of my other favorite queens to read up on. I don't know why I have such a connection to her, but I do. Maybe I was part of her court long ago, I don't know. Petite Trianon. I don't know how to pronounce that. But, as everyone knows, that Marie Antoinette and her family was executed in the Revolution of the French. Known as the Montgomery-Jourdain incident in the early 20th century, 2 English women were visiting Versailles and became lost. They found themselves at the Petite Trianon. Marie Antoinette's pastoral escape, I don't know how to pronounce that one, and saw a woman dressed oddly sketching the palace. They believed she was the ghost of the doomed French queen. The pair also believed that they met a few other ghosts on the ground. Now I would love to go to Versailles and just happen to meet her. I'd have questions. I'd probably be too much honestly, but I'd have so many questions. But most people were skeptical of this story, although it is hard, although two girls tend to have the same story. I'd be a little less skeptical. Now, if one person said that, I wouldn't be surprised. But then some of them believe that maybe there was some historical actors at Versailles, which I don't think they actually do. I don't want to read too. But who knows? I mean, unless you were there, I guess you can't really know unless there was some kind of video or photographic evidence on this. But Queen Victoria is said to haunt Windsor Castle grounds. But my witch Queen Victoria, because I think there's quite a few in the lineage. Unsurprisingly, there is also a Queen Victoria appearance. Someone that stubborn in life is surely going to be fairly stubborn in death. True. During Edward V's brief reign, Wallis Simpson attempted to make some changes at Windsor. And those changes included ordering trees to be cut down, trees planted under Queen Victoria and Prince Albert's tenure at Windsor. The story goes that Queen Victoria's ghost wailed and flailed at the workers attempting to cut the trees down, and they gave up on the task. See, I would do something like that if I put a lot of effort into something and then people just cut it down. I'd probably be pretty mad even in death. Then again, who knows? But yeah, Catherine gave him a daughter Catherine's daughter, I think Queen Elizabeth was considered the Bloody Mary, but she was also the only virgin queen. Which, to me, that's interesting, but, right on. You don't have to have kids to be important. And then Anne gave her Elizabeth I. Yeah, she was said to have given him Princess Elizabeth, and then later on he was executed for high treason. But I don't think she actually committed treason, but I'm not sure. I think it was something she was seeing with a male suitor or something. Even though he was about to have multiple women at once, I think she was trying to do the same thing, because by then their marriage was just pretty much falling apart. And that was considered treason because if you were married to the king back then, you know, had to be only to him, and even though he could go and, you know, mess around with whoever he wants. But the Tower of London, which is where Anne was imprisoned and then later executed, was one of her well-known sightings, which they do say that if you do come back as a ghost, you can frequently haunt one of the last places you were at, or where your body is, which is weird because there's not a lot of cemeteries that are heavily haunted or really haunted at all. So I think it more stems from where you die, not necessarily where your body is laid to rest finally. But I don't know, like, I haven't really had enough of an experience with things and knowing the background of things to say for sure. But apparently some part of her remains are in the stone walls back then, or in the stone walls of the Tower of London, so I don't know for sure one way or another, but it is one of her well-known sightings. Like the whole guard thinking she was an intruder or something, and then went to attack her and went straight through her and she disappeared. So she was very much solid looking, but she was not physically solid. But guards also noticed lights flickering from the locked chapel. And apparently they went to look through a high window, and there was a whole procession of lords and ladies inside the chapel. Maybe they were visiting her funeral, and they wanted to keep doing it. Who knows? Unless you actually talk to them, it's hard to fully know what they were doing back then. But Sow Church is also another place she is said to have visited because she is also buried there, but probably not as much as where she died. But she can be seen roaming the grounds as well. But they also say that she may have been buried at the Chapel of St. Peter. And I think that's also one of her hauntings. But there's a lot of speculation on that. And it could be she was buried in one and then later moved. I do know a lot of bodies get moved around, especially as things go, places get redone, or built onto, and they need that space, so instead of desecrating the graves or burying on top of them, they tend to move them to another area, or then to preserve history and stuff like that, they moved her. But in all honesty, without further digging into that history, nobody truly knows. But they do also say that she's been seen haunting her childhood home. I think that's what Hever Castle is. I do know I've seen quite a few TikToks of that place, and it is very beautiful. So if I was her, I would definitely go back and haunt that place. Who knows what she sees? I mean, she could be seeing so many memories from when she was there instead of what it looks like now. I mean, it's not desecrated, it's not condemned, it's not falling apart. They try to preserve that place as much as possible, and it's considered a very big tourist attraction, especially in London. But, I mean, we don't know what she's seeing as a spirit. So, I would love to ask, though. She's also said to haunt Blickling Hall. Yeah. Or no, not Hever Castle. Hever Castle's not hers. It's Blickling Hall. That's her childhood home. And that she is often seen haunting there. Like I said, we don't know what she sees as a spirit. She could be seeing more memories, or she could be seeing it as it is present day, you know. But, she seemed to have been caught there as well, which is understandable. But it also said that on the anniversary of her execution, May 19th, a carriage being pulled by 4 headless horses being driven by a headless driver stops at the entrance of the hall. Anne Boleyn steps out of her carriage, decapitated head being held under her arm, and spends the day roaming her former home until sunset. I would love to see that. I would be probably terrified if I seen a carriage with a headless driver and headless horses pulling up to that place and her stepping out. But I would probably be trying to take a picture of her, taking a picture with her, because I am that weird. And asking her like questions, you know, and stuff, and just really trying to make the most of that event. You know what I mean? Fix that. But Hever Castle is where she spent half of her childhood. It is also said that her and her husband to be at the time, Henry V, spent many hours courting her there, sitting under a large oak tree and other things. So it was a place of fond and warm memories, and so that is why she is said to haunt there as well, which I get it, you know, haunt the place where you had some really great times before, you know, that what happened. I would go back to reminiscing a lot. Apparently a large portion of her sightings happens around Christmas time, which was Anne's favorite time of the year. Maybe that's why we bond, because I love Christmas too. I love Halloween and I love Christmas. So, and that was supposed to be her favorite holiday. So they said that she is often seen a lot around Christmas. I would love to go to England around Christmas and see if I can see her. Like, I would love to touch base with all of her areas. I feel like if I did, I would feel a lot of connection to her through those, like a lot more than I feel like some people do. And to me, that is worth it. But she can also be seen on the bridge, walking across the bridge of Eden Lake as well. But yeah, that's like the gist of it. Which her story to me has always been sad. I don't like the way she was done to me was just sad. The next one that I'm kind of looking into, because in all honesty, I'm very curious myself. Doing these videos, I tend to learn some things that I didn't even know, and I pride myself on learning about at least a few of my favorite historical figures. I might touch on Marie Antoinette in the next video, because this is like a 23-minute video, and I really don't try to make them that long. But like I said, when I start looking into these things, I start learning about a bunch of stuff, and then I start spiraling down the whole ghost queen rabbit hole. I want to call it that. And although I can make another video today, I don't know. We will see what my plans are. But bye for now.